The mysterious nature of deserts and their origin. According to some data, 1/3 of our planet is under the control of deserts, which occupy an enormous territory of 48 million square kilometers. Despite extensive research, scientists still debate the true nature of their origin, as deserts remain an anomaly for our planet. Hundreds of hypotheses have been proposed, but none have been conclusively proven. Today, I would like to explore some unusual features of the deserts on our planet that do not fit into the conventional frameworks of modern science and attempt to uncover the true nature of their origin. Modern scientists, using vague and generalized formulations, explain the appearance of deserts on Earth, but the question of how exactly this happened and where the sand came from remains unanswered. For example, the formation of deserts is described in a children's encyclopedia as follows: deserts form due to the uneven distribution of heat and moisture because the air over the equator heats up more, rises, cools, and loses most of its moisture in the form of tropical rains. This upper layer of air then spreads toward the north and south into the subtropics, where it descends, heats up further, and loses the remaining moisture. This cycle of air masses continues year-round. However, this explanation does not clarify anything. In some scientific literature, even stranger explanations can be found. For instance, it is suggested that rivers flowing from mountain ranges near modern deserts carried so much sand. But what mountains are these, and how did so much sand accumulate on them? It is also unclear why not all deserts have such mountain ranges nearby. This explanation fails to provide a coherent answer. Another theory claims that deserts are the remains of seas and oceans that dried up millions of years ago. However, this is not new to us. Whenever scientists cannot explain a particular natural anomaly, they often say that there was once a sea or ocean there. But if water covered everything, the emergence of life on Earth would have been impossible, as recent studies suggest. According to these findings, life could not have originated in water, as it is detrimental to it. For those who watched the episode titled "Humans Were Created Artificially," this idea might make more sense. In brief, recent scientific research indicates that life could not have emerged in water. I recommend watching this episode for a more complete understanding of the situation. The first place in our improvised top of the craziest scientific theories is occupied by the hypothesis that all this sand was brought here by air masses from somewhere. However, no one is in a hurry to explain where it came from and why it was deposited in these specific locations. The uninitiated reader might simply shrug and say, "I don't understand, but it's written in a smart way, so we can trust the scientists." To better understand what deserts truly represent and how they form, we need to consider several interesting and important facts. Let's take the largest desert on our planet, the Sahara, which covers almost 9 million square kilometers. One of the most striking features of this desert is the unnaturalness of the sand covering its entire area. The edges of the sand dunes in the Sahara are abrupt, with no gradual transitions. For example, lush green trees on fertile soil can suddenly give way to sand without any intermediate zones. Recent research has shown that the climate in the Sahara underwent rapid desertification, transforming it from a humid subtropical region into a desert. This contradicts the official definition of desert formation, which is said to take millions of years. These findings suggest that the process might have occurred much faster than previously thought. Additionally, expeditions have uncovered numerous dinosaur fossils, remnants of ancient cities, and burials under the sands, some of which are up to 150 meters deep. These discoveries indicate that people once lived in these regions, leading a settled lifestyle. However, the question remains, who could have deliberately buried these areas to hide them from prying eyes? The so-called sand deposits in the Sahara and other deserts appear artificial, as do the cities buried beneath them. This raises questions about the existence of hundreds of such cities that we may not even know about. If all of this is true, then who could have done this and why? Looking at this from another angle, the picture becomes even more confusing. The oceans and seas also hide numerous ancient cities and structures under their waters. Today, only 29% of the Earth's surface is habitable for humans, while 71% is underwater. Of these 29%, one-third is occupied by deserts. This means that the theoretically accessible living space for humans is only about 19% of the Earth's surface. Yet, all research indicates that in ancient times, people lived on the entire surface of the planet, including areas now occupied by seas, oceans, and deserts. This creates the impression that these vast territories were deliberately hidden from us. But why? Perhaps there are things there that we are not supposed to know about. If we add the legend of the ancient Atlantis, the puzzle almost completes itself. Atlantis, a highly developed civilization that perished in the sea, is described in the Bible as the Nephilim and in the Quran as the Adites. The idea that all these regions were deliberately buried suggests that someone powerful and intentional was behind this. At the very least, it is worth pondering.